Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And hi everyone. Welcome to the second part of multimodality. In this video, I'm going to talk about representations. As I mentioned earlier, there are three meta functions in multimodality, which are similar to SFL. The meta functions are representation, interaction, and composition. But in this video, my focus will be on the representation. So there are two types of representation. One is narrative, and the next one is conceptual. For narrative representations, it represents the process of doing, what is happening, while for the conceptual representation, it is on the process of relational, or what it is about. Okay, if you see the image on the left, it is an activity in the class. So it is like a class presentation done by a group of students. If you look here, the presenter is looking at the audience, and the two friends at the back there, they are looking at the presenter. So it shows you something is happening. So that is a narrative representation. Meanwhile, the other two images on the left, okay, if you are Malaysian, or not non-Malaysian, can easily identify that the second image in the middle one is an image of a queen. So that is a queen of Malaysia, from her crown, her attire, yellow attire, and the medals. So this is a conceptual representation because it does not show what is happening. It does not representing something is being done or doing, but it is more like who is she, the attribute of the queen. And the last image on the right, okay, there are the representatives or members of postgraduate student society. So this is also the conceptual representation because you can see there is nothing happened there. It is about categories showing who they are, okay, as members of postgraduate student society. So what is the difference between narrative and conceptual representations? In short, narrative representation is showing what is doing, what is happening, or something is being done, while for conceptual representation is about the attribute, categories, what it is about. So in the narrative or conceptual, we need to have the participants. Participants can be people, things, and places. And secondly, we need to have the process. So the process for narrative is doing something to or for each other, and the participants are connected by means of a vector. So it is a vector line that connects the actor to the goal or the actor to the recipient. For the conceptual representation, on the other hand, it represents participants in terms of their class, structure, or classifications. So it is a relational process. It is based on the participants are the carrier and the attribute. If you look at the image, the diagram on the right, it is a summary of the representational structures, which has two representations. One is narrative, and the next one is conceptual. For narrative, we have participants and we have processes, while for the conceptual, we can have classification or analytical and symbolical. For narrative structure, as I mentioned earlier, we need to identify the vector line. So here we can see the arrows are the vector lines that connect the participants. For example, the participants are the items in the boxes: information source, transmitter, noise source, receiver, and destination. So these nouns or participants are connected through arrows, which are the vector lines. So therefore, this diagram is a narrative structure. This diagram is a Shannon's and Weaver's communication model that we have learned, we have seen in our lecture on communication model. Narrative structures, as I mentioned earlier, there are two types, the process and the circumstantial elements. Okay, we just go look at the one in the pink boxes. Well, there are different types of processes. One is action, reaction, mental, and verbal. For action, there are two types of action: transactional and non-transactional. For transactional, we have unidirectional and also bidirectional. For circumstantial elements, we have setting, means, and accompaniment. I will discuss each one of it in turn. All right, the first one is action. Action, that which is transaction, that we need to have two participants. We have the actor and the goal. It can be unidirectional and or bidirectional. For example, the first image at the bottom there, we have two participants. So therefore, it is an action process, and it is transactional because we have the arrow, the vector line, from one emissor to the destination, and it is unidirectional because the arrows go into one direction. Unlike the first image at the bottom, the image at the top, we have two actors, one goal and one is the actor. But here we have two arrows, two directions of arrows, one from the left to the right, another one is from the right to the left. The top arrow from the right to the left, so here the one on the right is the actor and the guy on the left is the goal. But they can switch their role. Now the goal become the actor and the actor become the goal. So this is bidirectional transactional process. Okay, now can we have action but non-transactional? So when it is non-transactional, it means it has only one participant, that is the actor. There is no goal. For example, in this image, always remember the arrows normally form the vector lines. Vector to indicate that this is a narrative structure. So if you look at the arrows there, the arrows go in one direction. There is actor, but there is no goal. So therefore, this is an action but non-transactional because there is only one actor. The win, and there is no goal. Right. The next image is an image of a lady, okay, in an advertisement. She is the actor, but there is no goal here. She's looking somewhere, not to the viewers, but just something else which we do not know. So there is no goal. So this is non-transactional process. Okay, now we have reactional process. Reactional process but non-transactional. Okay? So here it is formed by the eye line or eye contact So the vector is formed by the eye line or the eye contact. It takes more than one participant. So the reactor is the person who is doing the looking, who is looking at the actor. Okay, if you see in the first image at the top there, the lady at the back there in the background is looking at the participants in the front. So she is the reactor, and this is a non-transactional process because the participants in the front, they are not looking at her. Just the same with the image at the bottom. The boy in the middle, he is looking at the guy on the left, and the guy on the left is looking away, not looking at him, but away from him. So the boy in the middle there, he is the reactor, so, and this is the non-transactional process. Okay, the process can also be represented through speech bubble or mental bubble. So if it is a mental bubble, it is a mental process. If it is speech bubble, so it is a verbal process. So we can see this frequently, often in the animation, okay, or in any kind of image, like to show that someone is doing the thinking. Okay, you can see, you can have the speech, the mental bubble, the thinking bubble. All right, conversion. What is conversion? Conversion, it means that the process goes round and round. For example, the source will become the receiver and the receiver will become the source. So it goes on and on. So it is like in the circle. Like in the transactional model of communication, where we have encoder to decoder, and then from decoder to, now the decoder become the encoder, and the encoder become the decoder. This process keeps on going in the circle. So this is what we call conversion. Yeah, and then another example is the life cycle, where we have the arrows in a circle. So to show that the life cycle of an animal or human being, so that is the conversion process. All right, circumstances. Circumstances are the circumstantial elements. In other words, are the circumstantial elements that come together with the process to give us the context, what it is about. For example, in the first image on the left, we can see that this is a narrative process because you can see there is a vector line which is formed by the eye contact by the two participants and other participants, the viewers, towards the main actors. Yeah. And then the circumstances is the setting. You can see the setting. It is in the hall. They are having, I think, a celebration or festival. By means of what? Okay, you can see the sword and then the gun, and other things that too. You can see the lights at the back there, and the attire to show that this is the kind of festival or celebration. So it is the setting. If you look at the image on the right, okay, there is a lady there. So this lady is not looking at us. This is non-transactional process, okay, but it has the circumstantial element, that is the lipstick by Chanel. So this is to connect accompaniment so that we know, okay, we have to focus on her lipstick. So I have something to offer. Okay, that is the lipstick by Chanel. So this is the circumstantial element that give the context and to give more meaning to the image. So therefore, thank you very much for watching. Bye.